Well, I don't think there's anything you don't know about, because all the stories that are bad for Labour are the stories. That's it. Labour are doing bad things. For example, old Net Zero Secretary Ed Miliband is off to Washington, D.C. For yet another G20 climate meeting. He was only just there the other day. Let's talk, of course, now to Ross Clark, columnist at The Sun, and many other places as well, to find out what is going on. Ross, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that Miliband was only in New York no more than, I'm sure, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, he's gone to Washington this time for a G20 meeting. Well, him and Rachel Reeves have gone to... She's gone there to beg the G20 to fiddle the borrowing figures, redefine what counts as government debt so she can do what Ed Miliband did and shunt some of the government's borrowing off balance sheet.
Right.
Miliband's gone there, as usual, to try to persuade G20 countries to adopt the same economically suicidal path as Britain, which, you know, reaching...
But he doesn't mind the irony of flying there, does he?
No, of course he doesn't. And of course, none of these countries, you know, India, South Africa, Brazil and so on, no, they're not going to take the same suicidal line that Britain is. They're heavily reliant on coal for their energy, expanding economies, they're energy hungry. I mean, you know, they look at Britain and what do they see? A country where it is generating less and less electricity by the year, which is becoming more and more reliant on energy imports.
Yes.
Because it's closing its coal and writing off its gas plants and trying to rely on wind turbines and solar farm.
Right. Also, all of their solutions to what they call renewable energy apparently involves even more electricity supply than needed, which they don't have. So they're creating less energy supply while requiring more.
Well, yes, and of course, you know, this G20 countries aren't going to be the developing countries among them. They're not going to join this thing. But what they are going to do, and what sort of Miliband is really tempting them to do, is to demand climate reparations. And you can bet when we get to COP29 next month that you know, they will be up there again, sort of demanding climate reparations for all the damage we've supposedly done to the climate. I mean, that's the reality. That, you know, we've got Western countries led by Britain trying to sort of impose, you know, trying to stop them developing, stop them using energy, and these countries themselves are going to turn around and, you know, use it as an opportunity. Will say, well, if you think climate change is such a dreadful thing that it's so urgent we've got to impoverish ourselves, well, you can pay for it. You know, you've pumped all this carbon into the atmosphere over the decades. Well, you can pay us huge amounts of sum.
The latest nonsense is this carbon capture crap, right? I mean, even Dale Vince has said that it doesn't work. And Dale Vince, who's about the greenest bloke in Britain, you know, says it's a waste of money. He says nobody's proved it to be a workable solution for anything other than a very small operation in Norway.
Yeah, well, I mean, carbon capture is actually a technology that's been around for the 1970s, but I mean, it was originally developed by the oil and gas industry, ironically, to force more oil and gas out the ground. You sort of pump carbon dioxide in oil wells and forces out, you know, what's remaining oil and gas there. So that's where it comes from, and it works in that context. The problem is scaling it up to a commercial scale in order to decarbonise sort of gas and coal plants and so on. And well, you know, it's very expensive. I mean, that's the basic problem. I mean, if you're sort of going to fix that technology to a gas plant, it's going to consume about a third as much gas, again, to generate the same energy, because the process of the carbon capture is itself very energy intensive, and that's why it's very difficult to commercialise, because there's no sort of real benefit from attaching it to fossil fuel power stations, other than perhaps, you know, buying, being able to sell carbon credits and that kind of stuff.
It's all absolutely bonkers mad. Listen, Ross, I've got to run. Thank you very much for talking to us. I appreciate it. We didn't get around to talking about GB Energy, but we will do, because apparently they've dropped GB Energy off its website somehow. I don't know why.